About a week back, popular Nollywood actress Mercy Aigbe-Gentry finally admitted she had been enduring an abusive marriage to Lanre Gentry as pictures of her battered face emerged on social media. Well, the situation is getting even more intense now, with the magistrate court in Ikeja remanding Gentry, a popular Lagos hotelier, in prison on a 3-count charge of domestic violence, assault and threat to life, which he pleaded not guilty to. Well, joining us now to help us understand all of this is media and entertainment lawyer Olumide Mustafa. Many thanks for joining us, Olumide. We understand that Mr. Gentry has been remanded in prison. Can you help us understand the possible outcomes?
Just to give a quick background, 28th of April, Mercy Aigbe issued an Instagram post saying that one should say no to domestic violence. From there, obviously, there was a restraining order that was in the press that was issued against Mr. Gentry, restraining him from coming within a mile of her or the 2 children in her custody. And there are also reports that she's filing or filed for divorce. So as we can see, it's been escalating in terms of the legal steps she's taking. To answer your question, the likely outcome is that he will perfect his bail conditions, and those bail conditions are that he must have bail with 2 sureties in the amount of 500,000 naira. They must both be Lagos residents, and one at least must own property in Lagos. So while he's perfecting those, he will be remanded in Kirikiri prison, and then he will be brought to court at some point shortly to stand trial for the charges against him.
So in respect of the offences themselves, what the possible sentences are. As you know, the 2 charges are breach or action likely to cause breach of the peace on one hand, and the second hand is assault occasioning actual bodily harm. The first one, the breach of the peace of offence, is a misdemeanor offence, so it does carry a risk of up to a year imprisonment if found guilty. The second, the assault occasioning actual bodily harm, is much more serious and is what's known as a felony. So if he is found guilty of that carries a prison sentence of up to 3 years. So if you look at the numbers I'm talking about here in terms of sentencing, that should let the audience know how very serious this issue is, and domestic violence issues are in general.
This is perhaps the first high-profile domestic violence case concerning celebrities. How do you suppose their social status might influence the case and probably its end?
One would always obviously like to think that one's status or one's lack thereof would never interfere with or influence the workings of justice in relation to each individual person. That is what we're striving for. However, as we all know, for practical purposes in Nigeria, we can, at least anecdotally, understand that status can have a part to play here. There have been allegations, one can infer from certain statements that Mercy Aigbe has made on her social media postings related to alleged connivance by Mr. Gentry with the police, for example. Let me just state that that's unsubstantiated, it's just an allegation. It makes one worry, or one can understand why someone like Ms. Gentry might be worried something like that is going on, which would enable perpetrators, if they are guilty of any offences, to escape justice. So, of course, it's a worry. However, I think the publicity that the case is getting is going to help in preventing such miscarriages of justice or any other kinds of untoward influence within the case happening. I think because it's such a high-profile case, there are a lot of eyeballs on it, and in that respect, one can find that when a light is shone on particular things in Nigeria, then things usually go as they're meant to. It's when things are done without people's knowledge or without the media's knowledge that anything can happen, of course. But this is not to suggest that anything untoward is going on, but it is reasonable for one to worry about such kinds of untoward influences on the case. But I don't think that will likely happen in this case.
Before now, she had made several public statements debunking reports that she is being abused by her husband. How would this now affect her quest for justice?
Yes, well, of course, one would naturally expect Mr. Gentry to use evidence of these interviews and these statements she's made to try and help his own defense if it ever got to the stage whereby he would have to enter a defense before the court. However, the way our court and evidence system works is that for specific charges, I mean, it is the evidence that is placed before the court in respect of the specific allegation in front of the court that the court will look at. So maybe at that point, nothing was happening. The question now is whether the allegations she's made of being abused domestically by her husband in the instances that are mentioned in the charge, that's really what the crux of the matter is, and whether the evidence will support that or not.
Many thanks for your perspective, Olumide. Time for a quick break now. We'll be back in a bit. Don't go away.